South Africa. A country known for its beauty, its resilience and, well, its complicated history. At the heart of this complexity lies the issue of land. For generations, the majority black population was systematically denied ownership of land under apartheid, a system designed to benefit a minority white population. Fast forward to 2025 and the wounds of the past are still, pretty raw. The government's solution? A new land expropriation law allowing them to seize land without compensation in certain circumstances. Is this justice being served or a recipe for disaster? The debate is fierce. Supporters argue it's about righting historical wrongs, giving black South Africans a piece of the land that was stolen from them. Opponents fear economic collapse, warning of food shortages and investors fleeing. Caught in the middle is a generation of young South Africans, inheriting a problem they didn't create, yet responsible for building its future. This isn't just a South African story, it's a story about inequality, about historical trauma, and about the struggle to create a fair and prosperous future for all. It's a story that resonates far beyond South Africa's borders, raising questions about land ownership, justice, and what happens when a nation attempts to heal the wounds of its past. Walk down any street in Johannesburg, Cape Town, or Durban, and you'll hear a chorus of opinions about the land expropriation law. For young black South Africans, it's a chance to finally claim what they see as rightfully theirs. My grandparents were forcibly removed from their land, says Afiwe, a student from Soweto. This law is about restoring what was taken, about giving us a chance to build a future on our own terms. But not all young people are convinced. I understand the anger, the need for justice, says Jason, a young white farmer, but taking land without compensation? What kind of message does that send to investors? How will we feed our nation? The fear of economic instability, of their futures being jeopardized, is, honestly, pretty palpable. The debate cuts across racial lines, reflecting the complexity of South African society. Some young white South Africans support the law, seeing it as a necessary step towards reconciliation. Others from all backgrounds worry about the practicalities, the unintended consequences. In a country still grappling with the legacy of apartheid, the land question is a deeply personal one, evoking strong emotions and divergent views. The year is 2025 and Donald Trump is back on Twitter, this time weighing in on South African land reform. In a series of tweets he condemned the law, calling it a recipe for disaster and warning of large-scale killings of white farmers. His comments, widely seen as inaccurate and inflammatory, sparked outrage in South Africa and beyond. Many saw it as a blatant attempt to exploit racial tensions for political gain, a reminder of his divisive rhetoric during his presidency. South African government officials were quick to condemn his remarks, accusing him of spreading misinformation and undermining their efforts to address historical injustices. While Trump's tweets may have grabbed headlines, they did little to contribute to a nuanced understanding of the issue. In fact, they highlighted the dangers of misinformation and the importance of engaging with complex issues in a responsible and informed manner. For many South Africans, it was a frustrating reminder of how their country is often misrepresented and misunderstood on the global stage. Predicting the future, the economic impact of the land expropriation law is arguably the most contentious aspect of the debate. Opponents paint a dire picture: agricultural collapse, hyperinflation, and mass unemployment. They argue that seizing land without compensation will deter investment, cripple the agricultural sector, and send shockwaves through the already fragile economy. Supporters counter that these fears are overblown, arguing that the law is necessary to unlock the economic potential of black South Africans. They envision a future where land ownership empowers previously disadvantaged communities, leading to increased agricultural production, job creation, and a more equitable distribution of wealth. The reality is likely to be more nuanced. While some short-term economic disruption is inevitable, the long-term impact will depend on how the law is implemented. Transparency, fairness, and a clear commitment to supporting both established and emerging farmers will be crucial. The government will need to strike a delicate balance between addressing historical injustices and fostering a climate of economic stability and growth. To understand the land expropriation law, one must delve into the labyrinthine world of South African law. The Constitution, adopted after the fall of apartheid, already allows for expropriation with just and equitable compensation. However, the new law broadens the circumstances under which compensation may not be paid, specifically when it's deemed in the public interest to redress past racial discrimination. This raises complex legal questions about property rights, the role of the courts, and the balance of power between the government and its citizens. Critics argue that the law is unconstitutional, undermining property rights and setting a dangerous precedent. Supporters maintain that it's a necessary tool to address the legacy of apartheid and achieve social justice. The legal battle over land expropriation is far from over. Court challenges are expected, and the interpretation and implementation of the law will likely be subject to intense scrutiny. Navigating this complex legal landscape will require careful consideration of both the letter and spirit of the law, as well as a commitment to upholding justice, fairness, and the rule of law. South Africa is not alone in grappling with the legacy of land dispossession. From Zimbabwe to Guatemala, countries around the world have attempted land reform with varying degrees of success. Examining these international experiences can provide valuable lessons, both positive and negative. Zimbabwe's land reform program, launched in the early 2000s, led to widespread farm seizures and economic collapse. While intended to address colonial-era land inequalities, the program was marred by violence, corruption, and a lack of support for new farmers. In contrast, South Korea's land reform program, implemented after World War II, is widely considered a success. By redistributing land from wealthy landlords to tenant farmers, the program helped to reduce inequality, boost agricultural production, and lay the foundation for economic growth. South Africa can learn from these international examples, both in terms of what to avoid and what to emulate. The land expropriation law has ignited a fierce and often divisive debate in South Africa. But, amidst the heated rhetoric, there are glimmers of hope. Both sides agree on the need for land reform, albeit with different approaches. Finding a way forward requires moving beyond the zero-sum game and embracing dialogue, compromise, and a shared vision for the future. One potential solution is a more nuanced approach to expropriation, focusing on unused or underutilized land, state-owned land, and land acquired through illegal means. This could help to address historical injustices without disrupting productive farmland or undermining investor confidence. Another key element is investing in support systems for emerging farmers, providing them with the training, resources, and market access they need to succeed. This includes access to credit, technical assistance, and infrastructure development. By empowering a new generation of black farmers, South Africa can create a more just and prosperous agricultural sector. The land question is not just a matter for politicians and policymakers, it's a conversation that demands the participation of all South Africans. Educate yourself about the history of land dispossession, the different perspectives on the land expropriation law, and the potential consequences of different policy choices. Engage in respectful dialogue with people who have different views, listen to their concerns, and share your own. Support organizations working to promote land justice and sustainable development. Use your voice to advocate for solutions that are fair, equitable, and beneficial for all South Africans. The future of South Africa depends on finding a just and equitable solution to the land question. By engaging in informed debate, embracing dialogue, and working together, South Africans can create a future where all citizens have a stake in the land and a share in its prosperity. To learn more about land reform in South Africa and how you can get involved, visit the links in the description.